Hello and welcome to another episode of the Clutch Kick. I am one of your hosts, EG, and my co-host on the left today is Greg. So I've been having some internet issues, and I haven't been able to get a stable connection, so it's taken a while to get up and running. If it drops out, then it's just the internet here again. So don't worry, we'll try and get up and running. Again, at the moment, I have no idea if this is working or not. I think Greg's keeping an eye on the feed to see if it's actually working.
At this stage, we're good.
Cool. All right. So, just to begin with, as usual, is some news. I didn't even check if the audio is working. Is the sound coming through? It looks like it is to me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so to begin with is some news. So locally,
there was Vic Matsuri, and Vic Drift had Matsuri down at Winton. Rally had Matsuri up at Rally, and then was final round of Queensland DCA State Series.
Cool.
And as for results for that, ask somebody who knows.
No, I'm pretty sure it got posted somewhere.
It's somewhere, but we've both been really switched on to it. Just give me. Oh no, we have it. So, round level 2, round 3 winner was Nick from Zell Garage. Pro winner was Jake Thornberry, and then winner of the state level 2 series was Nick from Zell Garage, and the winner of pro was Zena Tunney, who I think won a couple of the rounds or one of the rounds, and placed fairly well in all other rounds. So I think that was a sellout round, and I think Shane Van Gisbergen ended up 4th for the weekend in that final round. He didn't end up driving T's S13. He ended up driving a turbocharged V8 Wise Fab 180, and
really?
ended up in the top 4.
Do you know where he scored that from?
I think it's one of the guys who, I think one of the regulars out at Archie. So I think they came to the party. Clearly something happened with Luke's S13, and then we had one of our other guests from a few weeks ago, Blake Patterson, went up in his R33 practice car that looked a whole lot cleaner than the last time I saw it.
That was the car that was grey. Oh, not grey. That was like really super beat up, wasn't it?
Yeah, like a golf ball but with rust.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that was the same car. I don't think he did the work to it because he doesn't do any work, does he?
No, he just gives it to other people to do. I think he's got Moggy up in Queensland who looks after his shit, and he's got Sean in Newcastle that looks after his shit. So I don't know how Blake manages to pick up all these boys, but they all seem to, and yeah.
Yeah, I think he gets chauffeured around to events as well, doesn't he?
I'm pretty sure.
So, and what else is there? I don't think we managed to get to any of the events around here because Winton's only 5 hours away from here, and Rayleigh's not that far. How far is away from Sydney?
5 and a bit hours. Right. And being the long weekend, trying to get the hell out of buddy Sydney through the north is definitely not advisable. So
yeah.
Although I saw up at Raleigh that they did some tests to run trains, so they haven't been allowing any more than 2 cars at a time, but I saw a video of them testing 4 cars at once, and it sounds like that went fairly positive. I'm glad they chose 4 dudes who know how to steer. to put that demo on. Actually, it was actually a pretty cool run.
Oh no, did we lose internet again? I think I'm still uploading. Is anyone out there on... No, I'm pretty sure it's my end. Well, I'm not too sure. Let me just see. Okay, so I'm not too sure if it's my end that's died,
brother playing,
or if it's Greg's end that's died. I'll just see if I can find out.
anyway.
Man, this sucks. Love Australian internet. Alright, so I think people can still hear me. So I'll keep going. I've definitely got some network issues. As well. No, I don't even know if I'm still good because I've got no internet on my computer at the moment. So maybe I should just keep talking. So last weekend, no, pretty sure it's dead.
You're still going. You're just awkwardly staring at your phone.
Really? Okay, because I've got absolutely no internet connection. I think. Well, the browsers aren't working.
Oh, I can hear myself now.
Okay.
We're killing. We're just absolutely killing the tech game at the moment.
Man, this is so shit. Okay, so now my browser's come back online. All right. Anyway, so you were saying that Rayleigh finally have trains again. I think your voice is actually a computer as well at the moment.
They were testing it, so hopefully that's a sign of things to come. And the fact that Port Macquarie is looking good, I would imagine, has been a bit of a fire under their ass to get some new things going there. So fingers crossed that it actually comes to fruition and a little bit more excitement there.
At the moment, to me, you look like one of those guys that are in like a war-torn country doing some like foreign correspondence or something like that. The resolution is so low and your voice is so computery, I guess.
Yeah, the bit rate's like 4.
Yeah. Okay. And also, internationally, we had a few drift events as well. There was D1 in Japan at Hokkaido. It's the first time they've actually run something there. There was also that really crazy event in Estonia.
Yeah, Estonia.
It was on a rally course. Oh no, rallycross course.
Course.
Yeah, so they actually had. You probably a lot of people would have seen photos and videos of a BMW doing a jump over a crest. And so there's a whole photo album of that event on just that sort of jumpy area, and you can see all the. Actually, there's also some slow mo as well, where you can see the cars actually get off the ground and then land back and compress and absolutely bottom out their cars. And also was
Drift Masters.
Drift Masters. Yeah, so that was a event held not in the UK.
No, it was in Poland. I'm pretty sure that track is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that track is actually permanent. I think there's still big enough in the middle that they can play soccer on it, the grass. But I'm pretty sure that little track around the outside is there all the time now. So it makes for a pretty interesting venue. I guess compared to what New Zealand was doing, spending all that money putting in non-permanent concrete and then tearing it out after an event was finished. That one seems to live like that all the time. And
yeah. Okay.
yeah, I guess it is fairly slow speed, but it seemed to bring really good battles. And yeah, Connor Shanahan took the win on that one. A little bit of controversy around that and a few, yeah.
I know. Well, there was some discussion on our community page, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was that one. Plus, I know there was a few posts by a few people on different different forums on Facebook, and yeah, what was your opinion on that one?
Initially, I had the same sort of opinion as everyone else when they were posting. So, it really did look like Connor was kind of shallow and straight behind him. I actually only, for some reason, the video I looked at was only at the chase run on Dean, and it
Yeah,
actually didn't have the other part of the battle, so I didn't actually see both
you haven't
halves.
watched the other half yet?
No, because it wasn't included. Because I think the ones that were shared was of Connor chasing, and that was it. It wasn't of James Dean chasing. So
Yeah, well, I don't think James even finished the course. James ended up hitting that. So the first corner is the last corner on the way back, and
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he tagged the wall and broke something in the chase run and didn't finish the actual run. So
Oh, okay. So he just lost by default.
yeah,
Oh,
if he had actually finished the run, it would have been interesting to see. A few people were saying, "Oh, it was Connor's driving that sort of put him in that position," but uh, that stage, James was struggling to keep up, and I think he went in a little bit too hard and ended up buried in the fence a little bit, and probably broke his rear arms with the Wisefab, considering the rear arms in a Wisefab setup aren't all that big. But from a chase run point of view with Connor's run, I thought it was pretty Nakamura style, a bit of a Nakamura style chase where you sort of shallow up to make the big dive in every time just before the guy transitions.
yeah.
Not a Mihan style one, but
Yeah, he's
at other
shallows
tracks.
up. Yeah, just yeah, it's such a long course. It's really hard to tell. I think he did sacrifice angle for proximity, which is okay, but
Looks
it's reconnected. Okay.
yeah. Um, but I like the fact that his nose was basically grazing the rear bar
Yeah.
on every transition, where even on a close chase, most of the time people aren't getting that close during the actual transition. They sort of lose a little bit of ground to then give space for transition and then dive back in, where he was sort of right on it the whole time. So I thought from like a total overall aggression point of view, it's probably been one of the better chases in a competition that I've seen from an aggression point of view. From a pure cleanliness point of view, yeah, not necessarily. But that track had a lot of transitions too.
Yeah, it did. But
Like that's a
it's
lot of
kind of like
transition.
a long course, and it was sort of like. So the way I understood the course ran was it was in an oval, and so you've got two big arcs, and you've got sort of wavy, sort of I don't know, wavy edges, and then you have a roundabout that you pass, you start and you pass from. So you go one way all the way around the course, and then turn around and come back the other way. So I mean, I can't even tell in that video how much it actually deviates from the oval, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you really do need an overhead view. And Steve's commented in the comments about how far up Connor was on James and almost past him, and it's just hard to tell by most of the camera angles. And I think even Chase to lead where they were transitioning the cameras was different, so it sort of gives you a different indication of where where the cars are and all that sort of stuff. So
I can see the comments now. Okay. This internet sucks. Okay, yeah, I still think he was actually shallow.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, he was
shallow where he needed to be, but it wasn't. He's doing that for proximity. So initially, when I first watched it, I thought he was straight. It's so hard to tell because of the camera angle. It just looked like he was just driving straight.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing worse for sports that involve speed than a panning camera. A panning camera kills so much of the depth and the speed that whatever object is being videoed is carrying. I found the same thing with skating. Whenever people are skating down the rink and the camera pans with them, it just looks like they're not moving at all. And I think that probably didn't help the fact that the camera was panning, I think, from inside the track or fairly close to it. And yeah, it just looked like Connor was driving on the inside, but there was a big arcing corner that they were actually driving around, so he couldn't really be straight. He was either completely understeering or sideways. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting debates, and at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure James finished himself off by tagging the wall and not finishing the run. So
I probably didn't watch the video that far. It was cut off or something. I really don't remember it at all.
So that sort of kills the debate.
Okay. And I think that's about it for the news. Unless there's anything else that I've forgotten.
Well, there's the one piece of news with Hi-Tech moving there. We're not going to talk about it? All right, we won't talk about it.
No, we can talk about it.
We're not going to talk about it.
I think, yeah. All right, yeah, that's all right.
Or we're going to wait. We'll wait and see. No, let's wait and see.
We can have a chat if you want.
So Hi-Tech has announced that it's moved its round. So they'd cancelled the JDMX Park round, I think, before last week's show. And now it's happening at QR. It's just a daytime event, finishing under lights. But I think that's pretty similar to what Luke had tried to do with one of the rounds of DCA last year, and ended up having trouble with QR. They're a bit funny about having them running under lights. So I guess we will see what ends up happening, but it's actually falling on the same date as Cash Kings just down the road at Archerfield Drift Park.
And you were saying that it was that round was originally planned.
For JDMX Park.
Yeah, on the same date.
Yeah, on the same date. But I guess the major thing is you're now a day and a half, 2 days drive to a different location. So you are hitting a totally different market and sort of in on the same market, I guess. But I think it's also going to be the first round that BAC, from what my understanding is the crew from Hi-Tech is helping with this last round at Winton, and then from then on, the guys from BAC are taking over the series, and Hi-Tech's just staying on as a title sponsor.
Is that the first round? So the Queensland round will be the first round that they're on their own. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's as far as my understanding is, because even looking at the announcement, you've got to contact a guy from Winton Raceway who is, the headquarters for BAC, who are running all that stuff. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what comes of it. We'll see where the support gets thrown behind. The fact that there's $16,000 on offer just down the road, I would imagine a lot of your grassroots guys and all that sort of stuff and your DCA regulars will probably attend that. And then I would imagine that you'll probably only get your high-tech regulars and probably a few of the bigger Queensland cars show up to do.
Yeah, okay. It's seems a bit weird that they're holding it in Queensland though, because most of the people, well, High Tech was mainly Sydney based, so and they had people from Victoria come up, so it seems like, well, I haven't been to, I've only been to one High Tech event, and there's more Sydney siders and a couple of Melbourne people that sort of come up. Putting it in Queensland seems like a different sort of move, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but there's a lot of big cars up in Queensland. I don't know if part of that move has been based off the fact that this weekend with Drift Masters happening, they've got, a 17 car field or whatever or an 18 car field for Pro, which is, a semi-slick like class. And a lot of the guys, your Josh Botches, your Mick Rosenblatts and all that are jumping in and driving that event. I wonder if they're expecting to get that, those guys who wouldn't normally drive a DCA event or even didn't drive Cash Kings last year. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, look, only time will tell. Sitting back and waiting to see what actually comes of it. Is it a great move for the scene? I would say not really. But yeah, I guess we sit back, wait, and see what comes of it. And I guess at the end of the day, having that event on, is pretty irrelevant because you're not going to be there. Or you're not even be in the country to
No.
be able to leave commentary on the practice sessions. So basically, the event's void anyway.
No. And even if I was in that country, I don't think I'd be at that track either.
No, you'd be down at Archie because you'd get a kick in the dick from Luke otherwise.
Oh, is that actually an all-day event? So,
which one?
High Tech. Does that start in the morning?
Yeah, it's a one-day event. From their press release, they're saying, what did it say? There'll be Drift for Real running with, all the other stuff before we head into qualifying in the afternoon, and then all the all-important battles under lights for the podium. So,
what about the trucks? Are they going to be there?
I would imagine that there won't be trucks.
Okay.
They're saying long negotiations with Queensland Raceway, and Luke was pretty open last week with the fact that QR for them was going to cost them a bomb, and then some stuff changing, some details changing. So, look, if the event actually goes ahead, let's wait and see if that happens. Number one, because that was one of the big reasons I think Luke ended up pulling out was because they wanted huge dollar amounts. So it'll be interesting to see after the Winton round of High Tech, depending on what level of support they get, whether or not they go ahead with that event, I guess, because knowing exact dollar figures from Luke, what it was going to cost them to run there, I wouldn't want to try and run a loss at that sort of venue.
Yeah.
It's just going to hurt the series either way, and it's just going to hurt drifting. So this isn't even a dig at High Tech. This is, a dig at event organizers burning their own pockets for no reason whatsoever. When they could have taken the series down to Stanthorpe or somewhere like that probably would have been much cheaper and isn't really that much further away for a fairly decent track. Almost the same layout as what you run at QR, really, down at Stanthorpe. Our good friend Jai said that they still want side intrusions for Pro-Am because I think he looked at going down to Winton to do the Drift for Real, trying to get one of the wild card spots. But yeah, they're still looking for side intrusion bars, even if you've got a half cage. And Jake sort of followed that up with, yeah, I'd run side intrusions too with the death cap. So that's also a really fair call. So yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a funny time, I think, with that situation, and I guess we'll wait and see what comes of it. Look, they sort of are targeting two different demographics. My biggest concern with the whole thing is more so that you're sort of targeting the same audience on that weekend. So if you're trying to get bums on seats, or not so much seats, but bums into the venue, it just hurts both because you lose out on a lot of revenue from spectators.
Yeah, so essentially you're getting like the Queensland pool of drift fans, and you're telling them pick one or the other. So say instead of every one of those fans going to one event, you're telling them, you've got to split up. So, and they will split up. Like, it's not like one will get all of them. They will divide, definitely. So you're just making both events difficult by doing it this way, like at the same time. Oh, the same time, the same location. I think if it was different, so being in South Australia, I don't think it would have affected those fans very much. But having it the same state, like they're not even. It's about an hour apart, not even an hour apart.
Yeah, not even 40 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Yeah, look, and I think that's the killer part. Really, I don't think you'll attract the same drivers. I'm sure there's maybe a couple of guys in Queensland who would potentially do both. But I would imagine your staple of Archie drivers will still want to drive Cash Kings, and with the DCA rules and regulations with what they run under that track, the fact that you don't even need a roll cage or anything is it opens up your market a lot bigger when your QR event under Hi-Tech is going to need a full cage. So game over there really for number of cars. So I just don't think. I think Hi-Tech will attract its regular guys anyway, especially being the third round of the season. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think as after round 3, you'll start to see the drop off of numbers for guys, because I think the same thing sort of happens with DCA or any other series. As soon as you get people sort of enter to try and win a championship or do well in a championship, and as soon as they haven't really got any results from the first couple of rounds, they tend to be like, oh well, I can't really claw back a championship anyway, and tend to start to drop off. So
yeah,
we'll sort of see what happens with that as well. Steve's asked if we think that the prejudices of Hi-Tech will be carried over with the new owners.
Yes.
I think a lot of that stuff will still carry. I don't think the officials and stuff are changing.
No. I thought it's all the same stuff. It's the same.
Not everything's the same, I don't think, because the people who are on the ground doing your sign-ins and your organisation and all that will be different. But your judges, I think your cleanup crew and all that will be the same guys. But yeah, you've sort of got a different captain at the ship, at the helm of the ship. So we will see what happens with that.
Future. So this will be from the Queensland round, won't it?
Well, I think it's been transitioning. So yeah, look, I haven't seen a huge change with what they're doing with their social media. But yeah, look, we'll wait and see. Look, I don't want to pass too many judgments, and it's not me just trying to be politically. No, it's not even me just trying to be politically correct about it. There's so many unknowns. Steve said we've disconnected again, but I don't know if we actually have.
No, it looks good to me, but all I can see is I don't even know if what I can see is up to date. For me, everything looks green, which means it's alive and healthy and working. But then suddenly Gerg drops out, and then I've got no idea
Yeah, no,
where
it still seems to be carrying. Uh,
yeah,
um,
that's fine.
but yeah,
We'll
so
just
that's
keep
not.
going.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be politically correct about it. There's been so many unknowns for this year. It wasn't happening, and then they ended up handing over ownership to a different party, but a lot of the same guys still involved. They've tried to go more national. Um,
They've got
so
some
I
good
get,
things going for them, but some other things like it seems like the crowd, the competitors and the crowd they attracted are completely different. I don't know if it's the direction we need. Oh no, well, I don't know if they're the people we need at the time at this time.
yeah,
If that
but
makes sense.
yeah, but I think that's a bit unfair to say, really, because I don't think there's such thing as bad audience, really. If people are willing to spend money within drifting, wherever it may be, uh, and
Yeah, audience is fine. I'm just saying like the
drivers,
well
or
no, everything like so
yeah,
events are good, having competitions good, having like seat times good, so that sort of thing. But what they're pushing for and what they're promoting, so one thing is like you get these guys that want to be in competition, they're being told you have to have these type of cars, this is the type of cars we're looking for, race cars. And they said, okay, cool, I can do that, I can build it, but like, they haven't really. There's no need for them to have skill. They just need to be able to pay money, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying that everyone doesn't have skill. I'm just saying, and then so there's also the community around them that's telling them, yeah, you can compete. That was cool. Like you're on TV, you go on TV, that's awesome, whatever. And so things that promote drifting is good, but then you've got to kind of look at it as in this sort of view where you don't really know much about drifting, but then you see you're just an ordinary person. You sit down, you go watch drifting on TV, not knowing anything about it. You see these cars sort of display a high level of drifting, and what it is not the level it actually is, if that makes sense. Like I don't know if this is coming across right. So what you see is a battle, and then one car spins consistently. Like you get
yeah,
someone that spins, goes off the track,
yeah. I don't think
and
that's
this
super.
is
I don't think that's super fair. I don't think Wakefield was that bad. The pro am stuff wasn't great, and that was even shown last year for some of it. But a few of the
yeah,
spins and
that's
stuff were caused from mechanicals and stuff like that. But
well still like
uh,
even mechanicals, like you paying like
no, no,
the entry fee is huge. It's a national like it's not it's nationally televised event. They need to sort of have their cars ready as well.
yeah, I guess. But things like a tie DB is stuff you can't really avoid, especially when people are trying to wring the necks of you know pretty cheap tires
Yeah,
and
but they
stuff like that.
shouldn't. Just put more pressure into it.
Yeah, look, I've been guilty of it. I DB'd it twice with when I drove Hung's car on figure eight, running street tires and just dropping them down to like no air pressure at all. Um,
But yeah, you
but
obviously know that you're running what half a bar, less than 10 pound, and then it's like yeah, it's getting close like to deep eating pressure. I mean, it's
hey,
good for
nah,
grip, but
to be fair, I was at like 15.
50 deep eated.
Nah, yeah, because I was 2.4.5s on like a nine and a
A 12.
half. No, no, nine and a half. Nah,
Okay.
I don't think rotors come that wide. I get what you're saying, but I guess for me, any introduction to people in the public to drifting is a good thing. And if people are gonna, really get into it, they're gonna go and find themselves a deeper understanding. They're not gonna stay at that dumb
Yeah, but they
level
don't
of
care. This
yeah,
is the public.
yeah, but not everybody like you cares that much.
Yeah, but
Um,
other people they'll go, hey, I watched drifting on the weekend, and is it really that like hard to do, or like, I just saw these guys like crash and it looked like the guy had time to stop, but they just sort of hit each other. Is that what happens to you? And I'm like, well, is that what I do? And no, I don't do that. So it's like
yeah, but
these are ordinary. These are people that are just sort of They just want to sit down and watch TV. They're not interested in drifting. They're just interested in watching it, and then they're talking about it. So if they tell their friends that, oh, sat down and watched drifting, and then these two cars, like I think I watched a battle. I think I watched like 3 battles with everyone spinning or something like that. It's like, oh man, that's lame. Like, it sucks. And it's good that it's on TV, but try and make it, if you're gonna get on there, make it good, if that makes sense. Like,
Oh,
put on the show. Put on, like,
yeah, 100%. And that's not all down to the drivers, but also I guess the administration for the timing of the way that they let their drivers run with the gear that they run. DCA, you tend not to see as many mechanicals because of the fact that it's the street tire series. But then again, you had guys like Mitch Doyle smashing GTR drive shafts with
yeah.
with 235 street tires. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. And then he didn't do it in the usual spot too.
No, he broke the middle of the shaft.
I know.
Yeah.
That's like so weird.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that drag cars do on big slicks, like wrinkle slicks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess, there's a lot to be said for that too. Yeah, I guess it's an interesting topic and that the debate will rage, but I guess the proof is in the pudding with the fact that they're struggling to get a full field at the moment, or even a field of 16 in Pro or 17 in Pro to sort of make a good showing of it. So
I think so I have this idea of, and it actually came from talking with Forrest Wang, and he sort of gave his idea was most of it actually. So it would be nice if that type of event was completely sponsored, if you know what I mean. So you were selected to drive, if that makes sense. So you either applied and then say, I want to get on this event. This is my car. This is my results. Or they come and say, hey, you're a pretty good driver. Your car looks really cool. Come and drive. You don't need to pay. You just need to get there. Bring your car. There's no entry fee.
Yeah, it's almost called Wartime International Drift at Wartime Attack Challenge, just not the unpaid part.
Yeah. So, but like that, I think generally everyone in that event drove.
Yeah, everybody drove pretty well.
Yeah, there's only a couple which I was kind of disappointed about.
Yeah, like Blake Patterson, the car was just a piece of shit and running on I don't know how many cylinders and didn't have all his power.
Yeah, there was a couple of those.
And then there was the Z that cool car, not a good enough driver.
I think there was something wrong with the engine too. It sounded
off. Yeah, or just not enough seat time or whatever. I'll probably sound like a total dick.
Whatever, doesn't matter. Probably not listening, and then you get a message later with abuse, maybe from his girlfriend.
Yeah. So.
I'm waiting for those messages to come in.
Yeah, that's all right. You can field those ones. Oh, I would imagine some of those people don't even watch or follow it.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I don't know. You guys can flick your comments in. Dry saying, all the gear and, no idea. So, and it's fair for some of the guys, and there were some good battles from the top sort of guys from Wakefield, but
at High Tech, yeah, the top guys, the last few, like top, I'd say top 4, but like in the top 8, if that makes sense, because in the top 4 there was a few of those DBs, like Bo's one as well. Like,
yeah,
that was kind of shit that happened. It was something I was really looking forward to, and he just had to drive the course because he DB'd just as he pulled up to the line. And then, of course, with their rules, once you're on the line, that's it. You can't do anything to the car.
And I think that's fair because you got to keep the show moving. Drifting is a slow sport from a competition point of view.
Yeah,
at the
that's
best of events. And like FD, I think that last round at Jersey, the top 16 took 4.5 hours or something.
what
Uh,
really.
yeah, and the funniest part, like that's a small track. The warm-up box is off the circuit, so you can do your burnout before you even roll down onto the circuit. So you're not holding the track up for that. And then,
Why do they need a burnouts? Just send them.
yeah, I guess when you're going head on into a wall that is the way that that wall is, I wouldn't want to be going in there not being sure that I've
No, they
got
can
the
just
right
do
grip and stuff.
a Uio and just do a rolling burnout off the start line.
Have you driven a car where you've ended up with more rear grip than front grip, like a crap load more rear grip than front grip,
Yes.
and tried
Not.
to drift it?
It's really weird.
Well, yeah, you literally just understeer and the car goes in a perfectly straight line.
You have to use the
Um,
power. Like you have to.
no, but even if you use the power, if it doesn't want to kick out fast enough, the first time I no, when I tested the semi slicks for the tire company that I used to be, or the tire shop that I used to be sponsored by, first time I driven on 265 semis, and I dropped the rears down more than I should have compared to the fronts, and no matter how hard you clutch kicked it or did anything like that to try and unsettle the car, it just wanted to understeer and push perfectly straight.
What were you
And
running on the front?
it was either my 123s or the Hankook RSs, but you've got only a 235 on the front.
So it was
Uh,
completely unbalanced.
it's not completely unbalanced, but you can play with that sort of stuff with tire pressures. Yeah, you use your steering wheel.
Yeah.
Thank you. I did my best too, Jai. Thank you for the comment. Um, but yeah, and then I remember watching Angus Kidd the first time he ever drove on semis in the Supra, and drove straight over the top of um, the mound that's in the middle of the figure eight between sort of where turn two is, because of the same sort of thing. Just yeah, way too much rear grip, no front grip, and the car just wants to totally push. And I think that's sort of the battle that you start to face when guys are jumping straight up into those ranks that quickly, and a lot of the guys don't have the money to sort
To
of keep.
test it.
Yeah, like there are a lot of good guys who haven't really driven this season
Yeah,
that
but
you
that's what I
expect to see
mean.
out there. Yeah, it just
It's like you kind of have to if you're going to be televised, then and you're showing off to a national audience. You can't just say, "Oh, I can't afford it." You know what you're doing. You know who's going to see it, and you know that you're representing drifting. So you need to do a good job. So if you need to find money from somewhere, you need to do it somehow. Like either get another
yeah,
job, get some sponsors. I don't know, ask someone to help you out, and that's you can't sort of I know I would give excuses and other people would give, but if you really want to represent something really well, then you need to do the work for it. So
yeah.
that's what I yeah, I understand you got no money because I've got no money. Like
Well,
I'm constantly paying more for internet on my mobile phone because I still pay for internet at home that doesn't actually let me do anything.
yeah, and I guess a good example for me is so when I was still competing in the ice skating, they brought in so countries used to be able to automatically enter a certain number of athletes in world championships. They ended up changing the criteria for that, where the skaters would have to go and meet a minimum technical score at an international prior to world championships to be allowed to attend world championships, because when some of the developing countries ended up building ice rinks, like India and some of these Southeast Asian countries, they were sending athletes that just should not have been on show for the sport. So they brought in a minimum technical score that you had to achieve prior to world championships to even be allowed to attend. And I guess that's the sort of thing you're talking about, where if you're going to put it on show and call it the pinnacle of the sport, then you need to demonstrate that it's actually the pinnacle and not a buy-in event that that anybody can attend and sort of
Yeah,
show what they can do.
yeah. It's funny though because anyway, Yeah, okay. Well, anyway.
You can keep talking about it.
I know, but it's just going to make him more annoyed. And it's not going to
Who are
change
more
much.
annoyed?
Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we didn't come in here with a topic, so
Yeah.
we've got to carry this. So
No, I had this intention of also asking about what your thoughts about your car, because you've got a lot of issues at the moment. So I know you've been having it a bit rough. Everyone's been picking on you and sort of giving you
uh,
suggestions. I know.
well, I don't listen. I don't listen to suggestions anyway, according to some. So
It's pretty normal. So I think you're getting a lot of input from everyone at the moment. So it's a bit
I'm getting them.
difficult.
I'm getting them in the comments now.
Oh, okay. Well, don't worry about the comments. Just
Um,
so what's going on with your car and sort of
so
what's happening at the moment? Like, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking about
yeah,
doing?
so a few people know, but basically, bring the bash. It ended up dropping the bottom of a spark plug off, and we're not sure why. Um, it doesn't look like the motor leaned out, but according to some, I've got no idea what I'm looking at. So, uh, but it doesn't look like it leaned out. So the bottom of the plugs ended up having a bit of a dance inside the cylinder 3, ended up smashing a hole in the valve, lots of taps on the piston end, a little bit into the head, and then it ended up eating a few chunks out of uh, the compressor, no, the exhaust wheel on my turbo. It's if we can get one CP piston, or if anybody's got one CP piston, I think it's a 86.5 mil for a SR20. I could probably get that motor back together, not so bad. And then it just needs a new valve in the head, and they reckon the guys from the head shop reckon that they can probably clean up the damage that's in the head. There's also a crack to where the spark plug hole is, but it doesn't look like it goes that deep, and it's a fairly common thing. So that's what ended up happening. My plan currently is there is a stock SR20 sitting somewhere in Wollongong, that's potentially for sale, that I might end up buying.
Oh, really?
Uh,
It's not a
my
cheap one, is it?
it's not super cheap.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have bought it.
I don't think it's been advertised anywhere.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Just a friend
mates.
who's got, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
friend who's got, keeps telling me I need to put a 1J in my car, has got another friend that, um, yeah, has an SR20.
Oh, really?
So yeah, well, it's one of the boys from that crew, and so I'm thinking maybe putting, if my head can be repaired, maybe putting my head onto that stock bottom end, and just saving that other head as a spare, and then selling the built bottom end if it can actually be rebuilt.
Yeah,
Uh,
should be able. It hasn't spun a bearing, has it?
no. But it just depends if. Well, I'm not sure I want to spend the money on a full kit of pistons when I've only lost one. So
Surely you should be able to get one.
you would hope so. So that's where I'm currently sitting at the moment. And then I'm trying to decide with going down a turbo size or two. If I go the new G series, even though it's a little bit expensive, but if I sell my old turbo, should sort of offset it about the same.
Why?
But
Why do you want to change your turbo?
because my one's really lazy and I have to kick the shit out of it and to sort of get it to come up. And I started thinking about the fact that because it makes so much power, that's where a lot of the extra heat's coming from, and all those sort of those flow-on effects of having, a 400 kilowatt car. Um, yeah, I'm not super happy with it. And I feel like I always have to drive it hard. So I'm starting to think about going down to. I was originally going to go down to the new G Series 660. I don't know how much you know about
Nothing.
the new G Series
No,
stuff. So
I just
Garrett ended up
buy standard secondhand turbos.
um, Garrett ended up going and just totally redesigning their stuff, and they're basically a small housing, but um, yeah, they've got two models in the range at the moment, and one's a 550 horsepower rated turbo and one's a 660 rated turbo, and they're sort of designed for smaller engines. I think up to maybe a 2.5 liter, maybe a 3 liter.
Okay.
So the only reason I'm thinking about them is the exhaust housing is the same inlet and outlet size as my current turbos. It's a different housing, but same inlet and outlet on the turbine side. So I can just it should bolt straight up to my manifold and dump. So all that needs to be changed is my intercooler piping, and I want to go to a bigger intercooler anyway.
A bigger one.
A bigger intercooler.
How come?
Because my intake temps are retardedly high.
What have you got now?
Currently?
Yeah.
Oh, it's at...
Is it just a normal 600 by 300 by 76?
Nah, I'm pretty sure it's smaller than that. It's fairly small. I don't know if it upset your internet too much, but yeah, my intercooler's not all that big. So I want to go something bigger. Because the car's got tubs on it, the intercooler's mounted upside down. Well, the original intercooler was mounted upside down.
Yep.
And so the pipes end up running in sort of where the headlights go,
yep.
rather than having pipes coming up through the battery tray and all that sort of stuff. So
yep.
It was a fairly short intercooler. So I'm not sure. I want to try and have a look at trying to get something bigger in there. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm thinking, Jake said he's been looking at the G series as well. I'm thinking about maybe dropping down to 550 rather than a 660, even though 660...
What's so good about the G series? I don't know anything about
it. It's small frame, big flow. So it's Garrett's almost equivalent to the EFR series from Borg Warner. So Borg Warner's really small for the size of their turbo compared to a Garrett super responsive spool.
Okay.
But they do that by running some fancy material in both sides of their turbo, and basically I think if they get damaged, they're pretty much chuckaways.
Are they cheap then?
No, very, very expensive.
Okay, so they're expensive, and if they're damaged, they're not repairable.
Yeah, I don't think they're as repairable as the Garretts are. And I think even these new series of Garretts, they've sort of, shaving weight from different places to try and get them to be more responsive, as opposed to going to a lighter weight material that can't be, can't be repaired. So I think, things like what's happened to my turbo, it's looking like we should be able to just linish it and clean it up and rebalance it. But I think with some of the EFR series stuff, it ends up, breaking it. Steve's saying, Disco Potato, my only reason for currently looking at the G series is the fact that I can keep my manifold and dump without having to do any modifications. Jai's also offered that if I drop my car down in Wollongong with a wad of cash, that I would end up with a 1J car that comes home ready to go.
I think you'll still have issues with a 1J car.
Well, yeah, my reason for not wanting to go 1J currently is the car's got all the good bits underneath it. That's why I haven't really wanted to sell the car. It's got Wisefab in the front. It's got good coilovers on it that I haven't had time to play with enough, and it's got GK Tech rear end with all GTR stuff in the back. But I don't want to have to change my front springs. And you're a dick. And yeah, that's the reason I don't really want to go away from the SR. And I think if I can take it back down under the 300 kilowatt mark, it shouldn't be too bad.
Maybe. Are you actually going to have fun with low power though? And low power for Sydney is like 250, 300, isn't it?
Well, do you know what's more fun than actually driving on track? Towing your car around the country and sitting in the pits.
Yeah, we're waiting for pit reviews.
Yeah, fucking hell. Like, that's fucking how the last few years have gone. So, look, the old car was 300 kilowatt. And through lack of driver skill, the only time I really had trouble with that car was on South Circuit doing high tech on 235 semis, and I cooked the shit out of the clutch, just trying to reclutch the fuck out of it to get it up the hill.
Why did you use semis? Why didn't you just use street tires?
Bro, it was high tech. You got to run the semis. So no, look, again, like Jai said, all the gear, no idea at that point in my driving. So it was put it in third and then just reclutch to try and get up the hill until I ended up with no clutch. So yeah, and I think I'll be happy with, somewhere in the mid 200 kilowatt range, if that's what it comes down to, up to the 300 on higher boost. When I drove Hung's car, and the couple of times I've driven Hung's car, he's only in the mid 200s, and that car is more than happy to go out and play with most of the guys. So yeah, I don't think I need anything too retarded.
No, I don't think so. I think the easiest way you can tell is if you can't keep your foot flat, then it's too much power. Does that make sense? If you can't keep, so if you lift, then it's too much power for you. If you get scared,
yeah, I think that's just lack of seat time for me too.
No, it's too much power. Like you should be able to go flat out, and then want to go faster. If you know what I mean.
You're talking on entry or in drift, or both?
Anywhere.
Yeah, and that's what I'm starting to see more and more. I sort of watch some of the, your high level stuff like your FD and all that, and they're sort of pinned through corners that I'm like, oh, I'd be sort of like half throttle on that, trying to modulate the throttle through those corners, and then I watch Jai drive it, bring the bash and those sort of things, and he's just got smoke pouring out everywhere, and you're like, fuck, he would have to be pinned to be doing that. So yeah, I think that's my next goal to be working on is more throttle everywhere. My tire bill will go up exponentially, but I don't think it matters what car I'm driving. I want to go more throttle.
Go up because it's more. Well, yeah, like you were asking before, like which part. It should be more the entry. So you don't need to have wheel spin. You just need to have wheel speed, like car speed.
Momentum. Yeah, momentum.
So if you feel like you go, oh shit, I'm going too fast, and you have to like brake back off or like let off, whatever, then it's too much power for you. You want to be like just enough so you can get scared, if that makes sense. And then that's
it. My entries I'm pretty comfortable with not.
Yeah, but you're not going fast.
Yeah, Wakefield was different. Yeah, I should have grabbed fourth in front of you when I should have grabbed fourth in front of you. But most of the tracks I'll keep it pinned until the entry point. But it's once I'm sort of in drift, even like QR when you'd run turn 2 transition into the dipper, I was always too scared to push the car that I'd end up flying off the back of the dipper into where that big ditch was. So I'd end up grabbing a crap load of handbrake, really slowing the car down, and then, getting back on full bake when I think I should have been working on getting back on throttle way earlier and driving through it earlier.
I think you'll find it a lot easier if you didn't have the power, if that makes sense. Like, I understand you like having power, and it makes it kind of easier, if that makes sense.
I wouldn't even say I like having the power. Like, the car never got driven on the 400 kilowatts that it was making. I always drove it sort of in the mid-boost to low-boost settings, but it was still a lot of power, like still well into the 300s. But I don't think I ever had enough seat time with the car to actually ever become reliant on that much power. And the fact that it was lazy, like the power was lazy. So, other than through the mid power section at QR and through 3 through 6, and then out of turn 6, I didn't pull a gap on you until I was actually up on power. You were basically running into the back of me on entry, except when I cut you off, and then through the slower stuff, you were on me anyway. So it's not like I was relying on the power through there. I wasn't actually using it. So, because I wasn't good enough to use it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, at this stage, I'm wanting to potentially do a G Series turbo.
Okay.
The ECU will probably change to a Link because I found out that the plugs for my Haltech are exactly the same. I've just got to move some pins around. And I'm
Okay.
gonna so if anybody wants to buy a PS1000, there's one for sale. And I will change that around.
We should do a group buy
And
on Link. I think there's a few people wanting to buy Link ECUs.
yeah, let me know if anybody else is looking at buying a Link. I'm probably going to be buying one in the next couple of weeks. So,
Oh wow, that's not that. I can't do it that soon.
oh, you're looking at buying one?
Me, it was like thinking a couple of months to maybe the end of the year after I get back from Japan.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm going to sit out another 6 months of driving. Like,
you still got the Haltech.
yeah, but it's the only thing left on that car that hasn't changed. And I'm still having dramas with it.
Oh, I thought you changed it.
No. It's still the same Haltech.
Oh,
So,
okay. Oh well.
Buddy Jai's giving me shit saying Haltech Elite and a good tuner. It doesn't look like it ended up being tune related. We just seem to be having funny issues. We did return the other PS 1000 and they replaced the main fuse and all this sort of stuff. But the problem with the PS is, and I know you'll say the issues are fixed on the Elite, is that there's just not enough inputs and outputs with certain things. There's no knock sensor input for the PS 1000. There are a few other fail-safe things that potentially would have saved the damage that I got from the other weekend on a different ECU. And the to me the product support from Haltech has been pretty shit. So I would rather move to another company and give it a go. And from all reports that I've heard from Link, when something goes wrong from them, they take pretty good ownerships. Where Haltech tends to like to throw it back on the consumer. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that too.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'm also working on potentially getting a 350Z street car.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Why? Why not another S14 or an R33?
So expensive. Oh, 33 maybe, but okay, what's your reason for saying being huffy about it?
Huh? Because I
What's your
suggested
reason?
R33. That was my advice to you, and you ignored it.
But my reason for not wanting to go a turbo car necessarily, an older turbo car, is you still have, it'll cost you, XYZ to have it running or buy it or whatever. But there's no guarantees that the fiddly little shit of a car that is that age with that many bits and pieces isn't gonna end up having issues.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I have so many spare parts. I know I know how accessible those parts are here. Whereas I have been looking for Zeds as well, but there's nowhere I can get it anywhere near the same amount of price. The same. I can't get it anywhere near the price of a 33, and it spares, if that makes sense. So if something happens with a Z, it's expensive, or like it's not available.
Yeah, realistically for a Z,
available.
you almost need to buy a whole donor car if something comes up that's been crashed or the right price or whatever. Jake's saying I don't have space. Yeah, I don't have space, but if it's registered, I can park it on the street and just put one of those bloody GPS trackers on it. So, and why do I need a street car when I can make mine reliable? I will want to maybe start doing some street lamp inspections down for our federal government, and I've basically been told by other people that I'm not allowed to drive a full-blown race car on the street and risk getting caught in that. They're more comfortable with me being in a registered car. So that's part of that reason. And also the fact that, I am taking on board what EG's been giving me crap about and saying that I need to spend more time in a street car focusing on even just basic driving techniques. And I never learned to drive manual when I learned to drive. I learned to drive manual on a computer on my Logitech, and then when I bought my original S14, I think I'd driven like 4 times in the US driving manual, and then when I bought my S14 was the first time I'd driven a real life right-hand drive manual car. And so that was street driven for a year, and then I haven't manually driven a manual car on a daily basis or even a monthly basis ever since then. So I think even basic things like that is something that I probably need to get back into doing a little bit more of. And I'm sure you probably agree with that.
Yeah, even though I don't drive a manual car either at the moment.
Yeah, but you still drive. You've driven a lot more manual in your life than I have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have.
I would imagine a lot more manual than I have.
Well, yeah, I did deliveries for a Chinese restaurant for a long time, so that was many hours, many unofficial hours.
Well, and I would say you've probably driven more hours in a drift car, driving manual than I ever did on a street car.
Drift car doing deliveries.
No, but this is what I'm saying. I meant like on the actual track, you've probably spent more hours in a manual car than I ever did, even on a street car manual, let alone the amount of hours I've ever spent in an actual manual car. So yeah, that's sort of the reason I would like to get into a registered car, even if it's for 12 months, say, and then the car ends up too rough to drive on the street or whatever. I just think it would be a good place to sort of get myself back into that. So we'll see. Oh
yeah, what happened to the guest that we were having
on? I don't know. He's probably. I don't know. We enjoy talking without him.
Okay. All right.
I'll message him. But then we get stuck on here for hours. Can't get rid of the bloody dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all right because I used a lot of internet last week with the extra conversation that we had afterwards. Well, actually, I just sort of sat there and watched, didn't I?
He said, "Why not?" So I'm not free, but I'm available. Fucking Jai. And.
Oh, we can call Jai as well.
Nah, fucking Jai wasn't keen the first time, and then we still managed to get him on. Blake told us he was not available, but he is on Skype. His tag is bored, and he is available.
Oh, well, maybe we should give him a call.
No, let's not, because we might end up in a position that we don't want to see him in.
What's that?
Oh, probably no pants on.
That's fine. I've seen him with no pants
on. So for Wakefield, I have paid for a spot. Not that I'm guaranteed to actually have a car up and running. But Jason Bay's 32 four-door might be up and running, and he won't be around. So he's offered me that if it's actually running. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'll at least even be able to drive that if my car's not up and running, which I have reservations about the fact that mine will be up and running by then.
It's about a month away, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, about a month and a bit, or a month right on. Yeah, a month
15th,
in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, look, we'll see. Are you? Yeah, so you're ready and organised because Rob didn't fuck your car up too badly at the bash, did he?
No, didn't I send you photos? Oh, that's right, my phone's over there.
What do you do? It's only rough, right? Mechanically, it's fine.
No, it's good hit. Let's see if we can find it. I jacked it up the other day, so we had a long. So you guys, I think it was only Western Australia and Queensland that didn't have a long weekend. I think.
Yeah, because Queensland had theirs a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use the internet to find these photos, so don't mind me. So yeah, so I jacked the car up finally, and I had a look to see the damage on the car. So when I got the car back from Rob, the rear passenger side wheel was very cambered in. No. Okay.
Is that you being funny? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's not being funny.
So anyway, I can't find these photos. They're on my phone. My phone's on the other side of the room because it has more internet over there. Anyway, so what happened was the the LCA closest to the cradle, the bracket had broken off or worn off. If that makes sense. So
On the subframe itself?
yeah, well, it's broken on both parts. So so on the front half of it, it's actually broken away. On the back half of it, it's broken apart.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is this our guess?
Yeah, this is our guess.
Yeah, it's a gallon.
I don't see any video.
So, it looks like he's still loading. So does that
Okay.
mean new subframe?
No, it's
We're
repairable.
just gonna try and weld it back on. So you're just gonna weld it back on.
Well, the front. If it was a clean break, I would weld the bracket back on. But since it actually has broken apart on the back, I'm sort of deciding what to do.
Wait, you guys there?
I have no idea what he just said.
No,
Are
I
you
don't
guys?
have any video.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, what's going on here?
I don't know. It said our guest has shared a picture, but I don't know how to open that picture.
No, it's
I
on
don't-
here.
I don't know what I'm doing. Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here. Are you there?
Yes.
Do you have a video
have
coming?
I don't have much of a voice, so
Oops.
So this is the phone sex hotline.
I don't
Oh,
even
yeah,
know how to
baby.
talk before.
I think.
What have you done, mate?
Hold on.
There you go.
Oh no, you don't. You don't want to have just my head, EG.
No,
People
I'm
might
trying
vomit.
to figure it out.
Can you see me?
No, we can't see you currently. Is he still there? He's still there?
I don't know.
Yes.
It doesn't even
Yes,
sound like him.
I am.
Oh no, he sounds so seedy tonight.
Oh, my voice is fried. Don't worry. I don't know.
Are you ever not sick?
Oh, I have 2 kids, bro.
Yeah, but make them wear those Japanese masks and shit.
I need to wear the Japanese mask from those cunts.
No. The sick people. I learned when I was in Japan that the sick people wear the masks so they don't infect other people because they're actually polite.
They're the cunts that come home sick, so they can wear it.
So for anybody who hasn't worked it out yet, we have Luke on again. So last round of DCA last weekend, we had a bit of a chat about it.
I didn't even know we were live.
Yeah, we've been live for a little while.
Sorry, mate.
No, you're good. How do you think overall for a first full season after you opening up, taking the lease of Archie that series ended up going?
For a guy that knows everything, you don't know a lot. That's the second series we've run there.
No, you didn't run it as a full series, though, did you? Not with the 2 levels.
No, not with 2 levels.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like as a full-blown show.
Yeah, we ran it just pro last time. So, yeah, it's just adding the extra class.
And how do you think you went?
No, it was amazing. Honestly, it went so well. We had 40 cars. Something other series can only dream of.
And
but we had to actually. That's what we had to cap it at. Honestly, we we can fit 45 cars, but it's really a struggle.
Yeah, and then even trying to get through quali and all that sort of stuff just becomes a bit of a clusterfuck if anything
I
was
know.
to actually happen.
No, the time's fine. Honestly, the time's fine. We had a massive, typical DCA fashion. We had an expression session at the end that was, I think at one stage we had over 20 cars out there. Like you couldn't actually fit another car out in the track. It was super cool.
Yeah,
Do you have
cool.
video of that? That reminds me of like something they do at Mahon.
Yeah. If you go, Kansai Drift All Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that, but not just drifting the front straight. Like everyone was just linking the whole track.
Yeah, nice.
So we were sort of running the tighter layout, so it worked well. So it actually made the track longer.
Yeah.
And then didn't make it as dangerous to do something like that. So yeah, it was super rad. If you have a look at, there's a live video. Oops. Excuse me, I have a terrible cold. If you watch the live stream of presentation on the Archerfield Drift page,
Yep.
and skip forward, you'll be able to skip forward to the expression session.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it's insane. Like I was actually running track entry at the time, and once we got a whole bunch out there, it was literally like trying to get another car out there was extremely difficult. Like you basically had to like get a rolling run up onto the track to be able to like get on the track at all. It was so tight. It was amazing. It was so cool.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds cool. I'm going to watch it afterwards. I won't watch it now because my internet will shit itself.
Yeah, it sucks to be in Canberra.
No. Except for...
Unless that entry gets accepted, and then I'll love you for being in Canberra. I'll come sleep on your couch.
If your entry for what gets accepted?
Summer Nats.
Oh, your Summer Nats entry.
I'm pretty sure it'll be accepted.
It's like rad times and stuff. Just gotta have like genuine wheels and a big turbo and a V8, and you get in.
I think,
are you gonna try and get yourself kicked out?
No, it's like the Bogan version.
I think no, they actually have. They said that they would have a section for burnouts on Tough Street. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna dump fourth for sure.
What car are you bringing down?
But
the 13
S13 convertible, the turbo that's bigger than this head.
Are you getting video, Greg?
Breaking news. Breaking news. And no, it's not another one of Greg's engines. I said breaking, so I thought, it's actually got to do with the car I'm driving. I'm not driving my A86 for Time Attack anymore.
Oh.
Okay.
This is legit breaking news. This has only happened in the last few days.
Yeah.
I'll be driving for McInway Racing, and they are building me an LSA powered S15, which will have 700 horsepower, a HGT gearbox, GK Tech rear end, and Wisefab front end, and be very light and should be very fast. And I will do a very good skid in it.
And then is the plan for a guest to still drive the 13 Vert, or is that plan sort of gone by the wayside?
No, that's already locked in. However,
Okay.
I can't say a lot, but it'll be.
No, don't. Yeah,
No,
just be careful.
I can say that there will be. By the looks of it, there'll be someone else driving my A86 at World Time Attack in the drift.
Yeah, Jesus. So there's not going to be many spots left for other people now that there's a spot going to the winner of Drift Masters this weekend, and then with the 3 DCA guys, and then 3 of your cars or 2 of your cars plus the car that you're driving being put in. Definitely.
I know quite a few of the others, the internationals that are coming. There's probably, depending, I think they're only taking the 24 entrants this year. So I think realistically, there's probably only about maybe 10 spots left. For other Australians.
I'm glad we don't have video of you, dude, because you sound like you're dying.
Oh, yeah, well, I am. So I
Uh,
hope that helps.
So you can take this spot
how
then,
much?
Greg.
Yeah, maybe I
The
can drive the
host.
McAway car. Are
Oh,
they
no,
keen on it?
I won't.
You're not going to die that badly?
Nah, man, I'm good.
You might have a reliable car for once.
Do you feel like expectation will be higher on you in a better car? Or not the no, that's a bit rough. I shouldn't say that.
You,
Um,
man, if you seen my face right then, I was like, what?
yeah, I thought no, that's a bit of a yeah, I shouldn't have said that. But do you feel like
Look-
expectation will be high because it's a easier car to drive, I guess, for that layout?
It'll most definitely be an easier car to drive. Not stressed on the reliability. Like, at the end of the day, an LSA makes like 650 stock. So E85 in a tune, you're looking at that 700 horsepower wheel mark. So that doesn't worry me at all. 5-speed sequential. He's going 350Z rear end. And like I said, the car should be very light. And we're bringing a spare car anyway, so that'll be okay.
Yeah, nice. I'm guessing the spare car's the 180 that Shane drove on the weekend.
Yeah, the turbo LS one, yeah.
Yeah, which would be more than enough for that circuit anyway. Well, that's exciting.
It's like 700 as well, so yeah.
And then the plan that you had originally was that you were going to drive the AE86 in the time attack as well, if you could actually sort of piece it together with some aero. Any of those plans still sort of floating around, or you'll purely be down to do some skids?
The expense of my tow vehicle breaking down have sort of slowed down those plans.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that sucks. Look, to be fair, if it doesn't end up being used by this other person, then it could still very well be a possibility.
Yeah, nice.
And if anything, I probably wouldn't even bother with the aero. I would just like to do something more while I'm at World Time Attack instead of just hanging around all day, because that's sort of not really my thing.
Yeah, you could go and put it in show and shine. That's something, right? You can sit in a fold-out chair behind your car and then sit there all day and get sunstroke and then hope that you win a trophy and then go home disappointed.
Oh, you don't even have to go to a car show for that. You've got a drift event to do that.
I fucking dug my own hole on that one.
You did.
I was going to ask something and then you fucking absolutely roasted the shit out of me.
It's too easy though. Sorry, man. Sorry.
No, I'm gone. I fucking can't even remember. Yeah, EG, that's on. Oh, Suchia's entering, I think, the time attack this year. From what I saw, World Time Attack put up a post. Will he drive your car in the drift event, and then EG can give him shitty judging calls?
Oh God, no. I like my car. No, I would let him drive my car grip driving. Full, yeah, 100%. God, I've seen him drift. He ain't touching any of my cars.
Well, I think even when he drove Yates' car, not last year, the year before, he sort of did little power skid things coming out of corners. That's about as far as the drifting that he did went.
I was actually at a Nico event, and it was sponsored by Federal, and he proceeded to jump in 3 different Federal drift cars and crash all 3.
Wow.
Yeah, special. And at Nico, yeah.
Yeah, but he's had massive stacks there before, like that S15 with the airbag going off. I remember that. And then there was
yeah. Again, they that one in that S15 was another one. It was just like
S14.
extremely
S14
light.
or S15?
No,
I
it's-
remember
it was an
something with-
S15.
Yeah, I remember a Super as well, but maybe
It's-
I'm thinking a different track.
The ripple strip hits the ripple strip and just sort of shoots him off.
Yeah.
All right, so don't let the DK ever go near your car, or anybody let him near their car. Let him sign the dash, and that's about it. Get EG
Yeah.
to sign your dash, and just basically with it, it finishes it off with EG, learn to fucking drive, shit cunt, or something like that. So breaking news from today with Hi-Tech keeping their dates the same, but moving in on Queensland the same weekend as Cash Kings. Do you think it's going to have much impact on you? We spoke about it a little bit earlier, but we'll get to...
How can I say it in a politically correct way? I need to make sure.
We were fairly, or I was fairly politically correct earlier, but EG was a little bit not really.
A little bit,
I'm
not
not-
really.
What did you have to say, EG?
I can't remember now. I don't.
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
I know I had the normal high-tech sort of theme, but I can't remember
Yeah.
specifically. I just said it wasn't a good thing, because, well, it's not good to have on the same time on the same day. So it's good to have drifting, but keep it separate, kind of thing. Like either if you're doing it in the same area, then do it at a different time.
Yeah, look, I think it's good that they come into Queensland and everything, but I think it's business suicide, really, running at the same weekend as Cash Kings. Like, even if you're not driving Cash Kings, you want to be there watching because it's fucking insane. Like, dude's driving for 10 grand in first place. Like, the battles we saw at Cash Kings were second to absolutely nothing. Drivers well and truly put it on the line. People were going nuts over that run that happened recently at Drift Masters, and I'll tell you what, Blake Patterson made that look like child. Well, made it look like it was a child. It was a child, but honestly, Blake Patterson that won Cash Kings, his chase run was incredible, absolutely incredible. And he literally jumped into a car, drove to the start line, and did the chase run like he did. It was fucking retarded. It was so good.
Yeah, and look, realistically, I guess it's a really similar style of track to that one over in Europe. So,
yeah, it's similar, somewhat similar. And I think, look, the big thing with Cash Kings is, it was a massive event last year. Obviously a shitload of people watching, and everybody knows about it for this year, and everyone wants a spot. And realistically, we can only have. Well, the plan is to have 32 spots and 2, what do you call it?
Reserves.
Yeah, 2 reserves is the plan.
Yeah, from just there in case before call-outs happen that somebody breaks.
Yeah, exactly right. And that did happen. Someone broke the morning of the event, but that was more due to the fact that we ran DCA directly the day before. There's no out. They can't. I'm being kicked out, and the wife wants to watch TV.
God forbid I want to do something.
Hi, T.
She said hi. But I just don't think. My biggest thing is like, the reason why I started running DCA is because I'm super passionate about the sport. And, I fucking love this sport. There's nothing else to say. Like, I fucking absolutely adore the sport. That's why I'm always someone to say something when I have an issue, because I'm so passionate. And, I guess often that gets taken the wrong way or whatever. But, the simple fact is I'm super passionate about the sport. why wouldn't the first thing I do when I look at running an event somewhere is what's on? Whether it be a burnout event, a fucking horse racing event, a sprint car event, I look at absolutely everything that's on around that area. And then I start looking into more of the location and all that sort of stuff. But all kinds of things that around an event, let alone a fucking drift event 30 minutes down the road, will affect your event.
Yeah, and that's completely fair, because if you say you take a Queensland audience, for example, and hold an event on the same day as, Rugby League State of Origin at Suncorp, and you've got, 60 or 70,000, 60 or 70,000 people who attend that event, and then, another 100 and something thousand people, 200, 300,000 people within that city who will watch that event. Nobody's going to go out to anything.
Do it on the night of Origin.
Yeah, you kill yourself. Nothing will happen.
Man, we even felt massive effects. There was like a quarterfinal for AFL on the same weekend as we ran a Melbourne round one time, and we 100% felt the effects of it.
Yeah, it's let alone cutting directly into your own audience by making you. And that's what me and AG spoke about, was the fact that you probably won't affect your drivers too much, but when you're trying to split your audience, and when your bums within the venue is what ends up helping pay the bills, it's gonna hurt. Hopefully. Well, I shouldn't say hopefully, because then I sound way too biased, but I'm a little bit biased on it. I know which one I'll be at. But, yeah, look, you end up just hurting yourself in the long run, when if you put it a weekend later, guys will just leave their cars in bloody Queensland for a month and then potentially drive all 3 events.
Mate, even if they had done it on the Sunday, they might, you know what I mean? It might have made sense, because, knowing that a bunch of big names will no doubt be up here for Cash Kings, and then taking advantage of that and running it the next day even maybe. But, like literally running like the same day, pretty much the same hours that we're running. Man, we're putting on and it's not even being silly, but we're 15 minutes from the city. You can literally see the city. You can see the buildings. You can see it all. It's 15 minutes away. You don't get any more central than we are. It's another 45 minutes out of the city to go out to that track. On top of that, again, we're 18, we're literally like 17 minutes, I think it is, Tiana said, my wife said, 17 minutes to get to the airport. Like, it's, Yeah,
well, look, hopefully it doesn't hurt your bottom end at all or too badly. What I found interesting too with the lead into Cash Kings, even though we're still pretty far out of it, is the number of dudes who I wouldn't have, some of the dudes I wouldn't have necessarily expected to have entered last year. And then some of the guys didn't do great at last year's event, but are super keen to, from what I'm seeing on Facebook posts, are super keen to jump in and do it again this year. A lot of your Archie regulars who just, have slammed cars on nice wheels and all that sort of stuff are super keen to jump in and do Cash Kings again. I'm not sure, how you manage to play it so right with the event, but I can't believe so many guys like that are willing to jump back in again. But I guess hype does wonderful things.
Man, well, you got to look at it from a point of view of just crowd alone. You couldn't move at Cash Kings. It was crazy, you know what I mean? And you can't help but get excited when drifting is like that. Like, it's an actual show when it's like that. You can go to Queensland to, just say with this thing that they're doing, and you can have 1,000 people there and it'll look like no one's there. So when you go to Archie and there's like 2,000 people there, you literally cannot move, and the place is just electric. You can hear people when you're inside the car. When you button off after your run, you'll hear people screaming and clapping, and and the people are so close to the track. You can see everybody with cameras out filming you and all that sort of stuff. Like the the atmosphere that it brings is really amazing.
Yeah. So, look, it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see if they end up under recommendations just from a lot of people jumping onto their post. If that date will end up shifting at all, or if QR, that's the only date QR's got, and that's what they're going to stick to. So yeah, let's wait and see how it plays out, and hopefully the second year of Cash Kings is an even bigger one yet, and then the following year it can be $1,000 buy-in and $32,000 on the line.
Yeah, well, that's the dream, really. Well, there's no, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it's $1,000 to enter World Time Attack.
Yeah, with the prospect of winning nothing.
Yeah, and it's more about the media and everything you get from it, though. That's sort of what you're paying for, realistically.
Yeah, of course. And how you either you as a driver or you as a business leverage that and use, you probably get more than $1,000 worth of coverage out of that event. But a lot of guys aren't using it to leverage themselves. At least an event like Cash Kings, that money's yours in your pocket, unless you're like last year's winner and you hand it off to a girl.
What? What? I haven't heard this story.
I don't think he's told many people, Greg.
That's all right. He spit fire at me last Thursday, so I'm gonna spit fire back at him. Yeah, just don't let the ovaries in your life steal all your money.
No, that won't happen. Don't worry. Is that why he's just driving a 33 now?
Well, that 33 was his practice car.
Lex, we shouldn't get off this subject. Probably a touchy one.
What's that? No. He's the 15's being done up at the moment. I think they might be doing a tube front end. And yeah, it's going under some. I think that he's stitch welded pretty much the whole engine bay and a lot of the car, and some other bits and pieces. So that car's getting all cleaned up. I think he's planning on running high tech at some stage. So maybe he'll skip Cash Kings to go out to QR. But I'm sure you'll chase after him with a pole if he does. So yeah, how did you rate his driving on the weekend, Luke? While we're on the Blake subject.
Good as always.
That's what you give us.
How did he lose? He sort of didn't. He kind of said his reasons why he thought he lost. I don't know.
Sucky lead.
Sorry.
Sucky lead.
Oh, he lost that off his lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he didn't hit any of the clips. Remember?
Yeah, didn't hit it. Yeah, and to be fair, like there was a few people knocked out in that same manner, just sort of, trying to run away maybe or not hitting the clips hard enough. And we did make a massive point, as we usually do with DCA, about the lead car absolutely needing to be online. And in this particular part of the track, if you didn't go out to that clip, you would pull a couple car lengths. So we were definitely getting stuck. We're heavily deducting lead cars for cutting, and it was a substantial cut.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and
it was an outer clip on the outside of the track, and the guys were cutting it and hitting the ripple strip on the inside, more than 5 meters away.
It'll be interesting to see how long it takes drivers who are driving DCA events to finally understand drive a fucking clean lead lap to have any chance of actually staying in the competition. There's so many Archie events now where that's been the case, and then a few other events at other places where people have thought that they've lost it from their chase run, or that they should have won it based off their chase run, but it's been their shit leads that have cost them the whole thing. So hopefully eventually people understand and start listening in driver's briefing and then following through.
But it's not even that. Blake will be the first one to tell you he needs more practice on his leads. He can absolutely decimate in a chase position, but then he loses a bunch of points on his leads a lot of the time. So, he'll be the first one to admit that that's something he wants to work on.
Oh yeah, for guys like Blake Fickle, and that's definitely I think for me when I was helping out at Cash Kings last year after I'd broken my shit on the Saturday, he was one of the few guys who actually came over and asked the judges where he's supposed to be and can do all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he's normally pretty on top of that. But yeah.
That's why him and Brody Moore went reruns so many times in Melbourne that time, is because Blake's chases were incredible, but then his leads were just not shit by any means, but they weren't great. And he was obviously driving against Brody Moore, whose leads were brilliant and chases were okay. So those guys kept getting, scoring similar points, but they were losing points for completely different reasons. But, ending up even, I think they did 4 reruns. So, yeah.
With the layout, because it's hard to tell because of just being, people's own little videos and the live stream from your crew guys running them on the phone. So, initiation point was on the big sweeper or for the chase car down the front straight?
Yeah, it was the lead car had to initiate before the right-hander onto the straight.
Yeah.
And the chase car had to initiate after that on that first transition into the hairpin.
Yeah, and then you came through the power section rather than the new section or the old section. The clip that got everybody that people weren't hitting was there was a clip pretty much where the Nico drop is. Yeah.
So basically we wanted people to touch their back tire on the concrete there before heading down the track.
Yeah.
And that's the one where people were cutting it and just running down the track, which would ultimately affect the way they did the rest of the track as well, which is where they lost even more points. But if they did the line correctly, it set them up really nicely. So, yeah, we went through that old section and then shot literally across the track out to the wall. And the
not
guys
right around the outside of the sweeper?
No. So they were cutting across, and what the guys that were absolutely on it were doing is nearly touching their back tire on the ripple strip that would normally be an inner ripple strip. They were nearly touching Jake Thornberry actually jumped it with his wheel, but just touching the end of that ripple strip with their left rear wheel as they're coming through, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it was more of a nice sweeper, and then it tightened up at the end for a good finish.
Yeah. I know that fairly well after driving there a whole bunch of times. A lot of guys probably won't understand so much, but rather than sort of the line that's been run at a lot of the Archie events, it's along that concrete wall that's in front of the pits, you're probably a good car and a half length away from where all the old plastic barriers used to be, and then eventually you carried out to the wall later on in that sweeping corner. And that's what I sort of figured from the videos, but it was dark and a little bit hard to tell for some of them, but definitely an interesting layout.
The final outer clip ended up being pretty much where you come in the front gate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was literally right there. So you would imagine going on that old section, then cutting across the new section in a nice arc out to that front gate there, and sort of tightening up obviously where the front gate is and out onto the straight. So it was a very, very committed layout. Honestly, you had to have a lot of confidence. And to be fair, we had literally I think one driver lost a rear bumper. That's about it. We had no carnage at all. It was a really, really good round. Really good round. I think in L2, we had a guy not get out of the way in the chase position when the lead car went to transition. And other than that, it was a very, very clean event. Very, very clean event.
What's your plan for next year now that you had good success with the L2 stuff? Guys like Ben are they expected to push up into pro for next year, or they be forced to push up, or can they sort of sit down in L2 if that's where they want to stay?
It's funny, we're actually discussing that because the guy that won L2 is an absolute Nick, yeah, he's an absolute shredder.
I meant Nick. Yeah.
He was driving a very basic R31. It's an R31 with lock and a welded diff, and a coilover.
What happened to his 180? Or he hadn't been competing in the 180?
He did round one with his 180 and went terribly.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he made top 8. The car just wasn't running right, barely spinning the tyres. And he got the shits with it and decided he was going to go LS. And then as he was pulling the SR out, he realised there was a big hole in his intercooler piping. And that's why his cars had no power forever. But he'd already sold the SR package. So now he's just at a crossroads and doesn't know what he's doing with it.
Yeah.
And then I just bought the wheels off him. So it's pretty much sitting on some borrowed wheels with no engine now. But yeah, he jumped in Ian's R31 Skyline there, which it is very basic, honestly. It's a seat, steering wheel, hydro, coilovers, and lock, obviously, and a weldy, and it's not even really stripped out by any means. So it's definitely a basic car, but he knocked out LS Wisefab cars. He knocked everything out. Basically, he was unbeatable. And actually, his qualifying score, he got 200s in his qualifying. His qualifying run was absolutely incredible.
Oh, he must have been giving Russell some good BJs.
Russell gave him 100, I gave him 100, and the other judge gave him a 97. So it was pretty exceptional.
And then, so will you force him up? Will he have to go pro next year?
I think so.
And is it something you're going to mandate, or just sort of go with the flow with it and see what sort of guys are sort of sitting back in it, or sort of judge it also off cars?
Well, there's a few guys that I'd like to see move up. It's L2 was crazy, man. Obviously, our pro series, we had a couple of really, really serious cars, but there was a lot of just really freaking good drivers in pro that they could have came there on a trike and done well. They're just super, super good drivers. And in L2, we had so many freaking Wisefab 600 horsepower cars, man. It was crazy, which is still great. But it was just interesting, and some of the guys can definitely drive. There's a few there that will be asking them to move up for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, it'll be cool to see what you guys end up doing for another season. Are you gonna go same sort of thing, do a short winter series again, or do you think you're gonna start running maybe, I guess, a series every 9 months or something like that, and sort of carry on trying to get more comps going, or just sort of avoid the speedway season like you did this year and sort of just smash out the comp so that you've got time for the national series and the Tassie series?
I would say that we probably will run a summer series as well, just because everyone had such a good time, and we get good crowds and stuff. So it's great to do, and it's fun, and especially the guys in L2, their driving improved so much. It was incredible.
Yeah, and I know
we had a lot of guys that were entering comps for their very first time. They'd never even been asked to hit a clip before. So it was, and these are guys that finished, in the top 10 that had, at the start of the season, had never even hit a clip. And at the end of the season, they've ended up in the top 10 sort of thing. So I think it's a great thing to help people step it up.
Yeah, I think you'll start to find guys I think Blake's fairly interested in now that that car's pretty well sorted up there, flying in and doing rounds and things like that. So I'm sure
Pretty well
I'm sure
sorted.
once you,
He's looking for the engine.
yeah, but now that it looks
what?
okay, because the last time I saw it, it had leaves everywhere in it and looked like a golf ball that was
That's like
rusted.
saying your engine's ready to go. Your car's ready to go. It's not. The engine's screwed. It looks all right. The car does, but yeah.
Yeah, but he's just got to put a stock motor in and he's good to go. I need to, I don't know. I need to work out something.
You just answered your own fucking question, buddy.
Yeah. Hey,
T28 and go.
all right, EG, thanks for the advice. I like how he's just sitting here letting me cop it. Anything else, EG? Any input, or are you
was
just
trying
gonna
to
fucking
hide.
sit there
Trying
and
to hide. Yeah.
he's sitting behind his microphone
No, I moved it
being
down.
all creepy?
I mean, looking and making sure that it's right. No, you're doing a good job, Greg. You should keep going.
I guess while we have you, Tassie State Series starts soon.
Yeah, not this weekend, the following weekend. We're down in Tassie for the first round of the Tassie series.
Who have you got judging that?
Sorry?
Who do you have judging that?
Myself and Chopper from Vic. You
And
there?
that's it. Yeah.
And Jacob Vigliotti as well. So
Okay.
Cool.
taking
Nice.
Vic Pro drivers down there to not only judge but help out as well, as far as like help drivers develop and push their driving harder.
Yeah, cool. Any ideas for fancy layout for round one, or are you just going pretty standard Simmons planes for round one?
We're going to go pretty standard for round one, but I'm going to have a meeting with the track director down there about some ideas I have. So fingers crossed we can get some of those things happening, because they could be things that potentially be good for national next year to mix it up, or for the summer season more so.
Yeah. Take the knee pads down with you and hope that some ass kissing pays off.
I'll take the wife.
What?
She's got massive cans.
What?
To convince Donald
Two?
to run the new layouts we want to run.
What?
She just happened to be close by then.
That's all right. If you need, I can come down in a mini skirt and help out too.
Why don't you just come down wearing one of your uniforms?
Yeah, I'm not sure he wants me gut hanging out of that. It would probably look better in a mini skirt.
So you can get coffee. That coffee out of there. Is that still there?
Can't take this guy anyway, can we?
I need coffee. Sorry, mate.
Coffee? You should be going to bed, mate. You got a big day tomorrow. It's Archie Day tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the day my Black 33 goes. So
Like 33.
Black Z33, the 350.
350.
Oh.
Did you
Somebody
see my
bought it?
Gay Boy car? Did you see my Gay Boy car, Greg? You can jump in the
Okay.
passenger seat and ride with me.
Your gay boy car.
The new
Yes.
Z.
Yeah, my
Oh,
heard of
yeah. Yeah, you spoke.
Pink wheels.
With pink wheels, I haven't seen that. I know you spoke about buying Rob's old car last week, but I had not seen your. Where's the pictures of your gay boy car?
Instagram.
Oh, come on, mate. You normally share that shit to Facebook.
Facebook's lame, mate. All the kids are on Instagram these days. I don't know where they are, to be honest.
When are you aren't they Nick's wheels though? Are they Nick's old wheels?
I just fucking told you I bought his wheels, you
Oh, I think
drongo.
you said somebody bought them, not that you bought them.
Yeah, I bought them off him.
Okay. You need to paint your
I
front bar,
sold-
mate.
Well, I only just put it on today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks all right.
It's certifiably gay boy car.
Wow.
You'll definitely be picking up the boys in that one.
Oh, hell
yeah. It's definitely an improvement on what it looked like before.
The other side of it's still all smashed.
No, I just mean like the overall appearance of it. I think when Rob had it, it was on fairly stock wheels and just looked like a stock convertible roadster trying to.
He had it on RPF 01s, but it was on stock suspension, so it was super high and it had like half a front bumper and stuff. So yeah.
Are you going to have that out there tomorrow?
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, there's no reason why I can't. Well, actually, my kids were playing in the car, and for some reason the seat doesn't recline, or it only reclines back, not forward. So that's a bit of a problem at the moment, because if I'm to drive it right now, it's a bit leb spec. I have to sort of lay back a bit, and my legs are sort of close.
Yeah, go full Detroit lean on that shit. Except you can't look out the rear window because there isn't a rear window, like a rear window. But get that full Detroit lean going.
Yeah, it's not too bad because I've sort of just forced the seat back by pushing really hard with my feet against the ground and pushing the bottom of the seat back. But yeah, realistically, I need to work out something with the seat situation. But other than that, it's ready to go.
Nice. So I'll have something to drive when I come up for when my car's always broken.
Well, yeah.
I'll see if I can destroy some rear drum brakes on that too.
Yeah, that takes some serious. Skill.
All right, EG. Other than staring awkwardly at your screen,
No, I've
anything?
Got nothing. No, nothing.
Fuck.
No.
You're boring, mate. You're dead set boring.
Talk to me, EG.
You sound like you don't really want to talk.
Nah, Luke always wants to talk.
No, I mean,
want
like,
to
physically.
Talk.
Yeah.
We didn't get as big a reaction out of you for the clash of events, but I think you're pretty confident in your event that there shouldn't be any dramas on that weekend in August. So.
All the CC I drank was earlier, mate. You probably should have called around then. I'm a fat guy,
you know. Already, mate.
I'm sober pretty quick, yeah.
It's a shame.
And to be honest with you, I've had people, some friends in my life, some older friends and wiser friends, talk some guidance into me and just said, let it be, and they'll fade away. So that is what I'll do.
Yeah, and look, honestly, as we spoke about earlier, that situation I think will take care of itself that weekend because the hype within the scene itself is pretty real. So entries for Cash Kings, when are you, or I guess not even entries, when are you going to start letting people start sort of, I don't know if you're going to petition in per se or if it's just going to be open entry? When are you starting that?
No, we do it by applications. So yeah, we are going to start. We are going to open up that pretty soon, actually. So guys can plan their trips and everything because, August sounds far away, but it's really not. So yeah, we'll definitely get applications open in the next week or two, realistically.
Yeah, August is going to come very, very quickly. So if anybody's thinking about...
Yeah, very busy time of year for us, obviously, with, the normal 2 rounds, 2 events a week we're running, plus the, the state series, and obviously the DCA round 2 was only a few weeks ago, and then directly into the Tassie State series. So sort of chasing our tails, a lot of work. It really is just me and my wife behind the scenes, including the 2 kids. Definitely doesn't leave much time for anything, really. So, we've just been very, very busy trying to get it all happening. And the Cash Kings is definitely on the list of things to do, and we'll hopefully get those applications up soon, and get the applications happening. And just some things for people to think about when you're entering Cash Kings. We sort of take a lot of things into account. Obviously, driving history, things you've done before, car appearance. We're not necessarily saying we're out looking for the proest car, but yeah, we don't want people entering with missiles or anything like that. Not people that would have less care about their car and potentially like take people out. It is a lot of money on the line, so we don't want to see things like that. And then just general attitude. It really makes a big difference with this event. We're really trying to avoid the, people that get cranky about judging decisions and things like that. So general attitude comes down to whether you'll be accepted or not as well.
Yeah, and I know you guys ended up turning down, a driver or two last year purely based off history from other series or other times that they had gone to your events and had whinges about judging calls and all that sort of stuff, and that was purely so that you weren't slowing down your event with guys coming up and complaining to judges, and also not having too much bullshit either happen online or even at the event between drivers, and sort of creating that disharmony when there is a lot of money on the line and there is a lot of bullshit that can come with that. But I think last year showed that it can be done pretty clean, and hopefully it can happen. But if you're somebody who's thinking about entering and you've had run-ins in the past, or people have spread shit with that sort of thing, it's probably worth either trying to make a phone call or even just getting in contact with Luke about your previous history and all that sort of stuff, to if you are passionate about trying to get into that event. So I think that's one of other than car being complete and some sort of matching theme, even if it's got some battle scars, I think that's your next biggest thing, is the driver attitude thing, really, isn't it?
Well, driver attitude's first, honestly. It really, that's the first thing we take into account, because we thought we did pretty well last round. The last event we ran, and everybody did have a really good attitude, bar one, who, it's the typical thing with our judging, is the lead car pretty much ran straight lined half the track, trying to just run away from the chase car. Cut his front wheel over ripple strips where he asked the lead car to be a meter from it and things like that. And then stormed across the track mid-competition, going off at the judges, saying that he should have won. In the briefing, we'd explicitly said, don't come across to the judges and talk, because we're in the middle of a hot racetrack. So to get to us, he had to actually go across the racetrack to get to us, and then came up and was upset about the result. And we said clear as day. And I wasn't even judging. I was up there and I watched it, and I ended up speaking to him. I said, look, mate, in the briefing, we asked for big angle through there. We asked for you to be off the ripple strip in the lead position, or you'll get penalised heavily. And, we said we weren't looking for speed through there. We're looking for angle and line. And he did neither of those things, and then complained that he didn't get through. I'm like, you got nothing to complain about. It's if anybody that was sitting in the briefing that was actually listening knew why he got knocked out. It was just, I guess, a situation where he thought he should have got through, and then his mates who weren't at the briefing would have been telling him how awesome he was as well. But yeah, he won't be invited back next year. So I won't name a name, obviously, but he was there last year and he won't be there this year.
Yeah, and so, Luke's just sort of totally reiterated his own point with, if you plan on entering, don't be a douche. And if you've had a clean attitude history before that and decide to show up and be a douche, don't expect to be allowed back in again when Cash Kings 3 happens, because I'm sure it'll be something that continues to happen and continues to thrive. So driver attitude number one, and then car appearance and driver history after that. But if you've got that sort of information, sort of have your stuff organized, ready to jump in on applications once they open, because I would imagine that you'll probably take in first in best dressed sort of as they sort of come, you'll approve them, and then once it's sort of full, that's where it'll stop, I would imagine. Once money and application has landed in your hands, it'll sort of go in that order, I would imagine, probably to save you guys a whole bunch of trouble sifting through 60 cars potentially. So be ready to jump onto these guys and make it happen.
Yeah, we will do it in a timely manner. We will, sort of allow for, payments to be made a little bit later and all those sort of things, because it's understandable not to come up with the entry straight away. But, with that event, the entry is definitely required a good amount of time before the event, because obviously if you pull out, that affects the prize pool. And just the general running of the event. But I think, I think it's going to be super fun again this year. And I think it's going to be more exciting from a point of view. I think we'll see tactics come into play. And I don't mean tactics from a driving point of view. I mean tactics from the call-out point of view. I don't think people really thought about it and gave it much thought in general with the whole call-out nature of the event, and I think it wasn't really until sort of top 8 where guys were like, I need to make a fucking call out if I want to make it further in this event. I need to call out the right guy that I think I can beat to be able to get through into the next battle. So, I think that from the very start of the event this time around is going to, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, definitely going to have a bigger impact. And maybe for this one, I'll throw ideas out there, potentially I know you had a mic on you, but yeah, I guess trying to feed more information back to the crowd as we go through the draws and all that sort of stuff, so that people, but maybe this time drivers will be a little bit more animated with their call outs and stuff. People were a little bit withdrawn from it this time, but I think now that everybody's got a little bit of an idea of how it sort of grooves through, even if you're not normally a big talker, maybe some smack talk purely for crowd entertainment might be encouraged this time.
No, definitely. And we will have a little bit more structure this time around, because the first time around it was a fantastic idea, and it still went really, really well. But obviously this time around there'll be a bit more structure, and because we know that the call outs are going to be real heavy, we'll probably, all the drivers will come in and actually draw straws, and for the top 32 it'll be the 16 small straws, for instance, will get to make the call outs, and then and so on. So it'll we're trying to make it as fair as possible. We don't want it to be the most athletic person makes the first call out because they've run over to the fastest.
Come on. There was nothing athletic about Blake's run. So,
to be fair, he did run though. He did run over.
Look, really, he should be rewarded with being allowed to make that call out, because he was willing to go he was willing to go the extra mile. So, and risk his health.
Yeah. But no, look, I think it's that side of it definitely is such a fun thing. I really think it's fun, and I think if we'll be bringing racing line up again. We've already committed to that. We're bringing the race line guys up again, and we're going to try and get a video going that, I guess, really captures what that event's about. Captures the call outs, captures the emotions and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, and then just trying to feed that back to the crowd live, I think, is the next step as well, so that it does well and truly crush any other events that happen that same weekend in Queensland.
Yeah, well, we got fireworks, we got fireworks. Just saying. Might have to get a big screen.
So yeah, keep an eye out for entries for that to open. Your entries for Tassie are still open, right? You haven't. I'm guessing you haven't filled a full field for Tassie first round just yet.
We've already got more than you'd see at that other event we were just speaking of already. So yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying for any of the guys who are actually listening who haven't entered yet, if they're interested in entering, there's still spots.
Yeah, we've got a top 16 already, so we're not stressing.
No, I'm not talking from a stress point of view. I'm just encouraging people
there's
to.
a bit of stabbing. That's what he's doing.
Oh, I
I
know
did
there's a
not.
bit of stab.
It was a light graze. I didn't even insert.
It was with a spoon, all right.
Yes. No, we're not. The Tassie guys and the Tassie series is great. It's super fun for us. The Tassie guys, it's crazy. They're always so organised, and it's such a pleasure to go down there and run an event. In the mornings, everybody's there waiting to sign on, and getting to the briefing room on time and things like that. So it is very pleasant to go run an event down in Tasmania.
Yeah, it's because we've got two sets of ears to listen, though.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to it from the point of view of this cold.
Yeah.
If I go down to Tassie, there's a fair chance I could die.
Yeah. Luke Fink with pneumonia. That sounds like a good old time.
Just bury me in my AU ute that's down there.
I thought you were going to say the AE86, but all right, in the AU ute, that works.
No. I want to go down in history.
Okay, so if Chopper and Lucy are listening, because I know they occasionally listen, because he'll be down there. If Luke dies, just make sure you put him in the back of the AU. And do you want to be buried in the middle of Simmons Plains? Would that be somewhere nice to be?
Oh, whatever works, mate.
All right, so just cheapest place possible, guys. Maybe down at the hairpin sand trap. Just put him in there and just let him be. Hopefully Shane doesn't come down.
Yeah, Shane or Timmy Rogers to come down there and they'll cover me in gravel.
Yeah, I was going to say Shane coming down there in a V8 supercar might end up getting stuck on top of you or something. Anything else, EG?
We had Shane. We had Shane driving on the weekend. He made 4th place in pro, which was definitely cool as well.
Yeah, we announced that. What happened to T's 13?
He blew my wife's box.
He blew your wife's box. But I'm guessing it wasn't as pleasurable as most would think, Shane Van Gisbergen blowing your wife's box.
No. I'm sure it's not the first wife's box he's blown either, but it's no, unfortunately, it's an RB20, and it's an RB20 engine with an RB20 box.
And did he blow second or third?
Yeah, blew second. So I don't know what he was doing.
All the good drivers this year have blown second gear and gearboxes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I've always thought second's sort of the weird box to change, weird gear to blow. Normally, I don't know, I've always third seems to be the gear that most people blow, I thought. Yeah,
but as I said, the good drivers blow second. So me and Shane definitely got something in common.
Mostly the good drivers aren't in second. That's the thing.
That's a fair point too. Yeah, awkward. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, but no, that car is a wicked little car, that thing, and it's surprisingly, as low as it is, it does put down a lot of grip. And we were running the pressures quite low and everything like that, so it's understandable. And he was starting to throw, sort of backies in it and stuff, so probably just loaded it up a bit too much, and blew her box.
Spoken very well there. All right, EG, anything else?
Did you keep asking me? But no, I usually whenever I have a chat to Luke, it's usually I just listen to his wisdom. So it's really unusual to ask Luke questions. It's sort of
not any extra information you want to pry out of him.
Me?
Yeah.
In regards to
anything.
EG needs to move. EG needs to move from Canberra to a place that's cheaper to fly him to other places.
Oh, that's the only thing, I guess. But yeah, but I'm so set up here, and it's like there's things accessible. I don't get as harassed by police at the moment, so it's good.
Don't get hassled with police at all up here.
Oh, I think I would if I was up there.
And you don't hit kangaroos.
No, maybe I'd hit other things, but anyway.
You're not supposed to hit hookers on the street, okay?
Look, I've got some lamppost spots that don't have lampposts there because they're far. They're a little bit of a drive out, but you can go there all night. So.
Yeah, I heard things are a bit more strict up there these days.
No, that's because morons go to that same spot they've been going to for freaking literally since back in Darren Appleton's day. They still go to that same spot, same time, same nights, and then wonder why they get busted. They're just morons.
Yeah, that's what we figured about most spots anyway. So,
yeah, when you've got a spot that's been getting sessioned for over 10 years, you can't get upset when you, if you're out there inspecting a light post and you're not doing it, to regulation, you're going to get in trouble.
Okay.
If your Summernats application goes through, Luke, are you gonna do some lamp inspecting with EG down in the outback of Canberra in your 13?
No, I don't think that would be suitable.
Why would it not be suitable?
We're sort of tuning it so it throws massive flames out the exhaust, and the exhaust is coming straight out of the bonnet.
So
my
should go
aim is to burn people's faces at Summernats.
But then you.
I think the issue is trying to get out of the because there's issues getting out of the getting out and in the complex as well. Is this street rego?
God, actually, to be fair, we actually ran over the modification codes that the car has, and I could actually street register it with the roll cage and everything it has, even being V8. The only thing that I would get stopped for that wouldn't be legal technically would be forced induction V8.
Okay.
That's just a big alternator.
Yeah, it has modification codes for everything, including brake modifications, suspension modifications, steering modifications, fuel cell, V8 conversion, drivetrain conversion, gearbox conversion. It literally has modification codes for everything bar forced induction.
It's not a turbocharger. It's literally just a big alternator. That's all right, officer.
You've seen my head and the turbo next to my head.
I know. But I don't. I still don't think that's an excuse to not go and cut a couple of laps at your spot that you drove better than everybody else. So, I want to see flames in the bush.
Are you coming down?
If Luke was bringing that, I would definitely be there for that.
I'll just drive one of EG's cars.
All my cars are broken at the moment, so that's another story.
Welcome to Greg's life.
I'm sure 100 of the out the back, you can make one run.
I can make one run. I've actually got Steve's Falcon here, so we can always just sneak that out.
Oh.
He's not listening.
Oh, yeah. The EB? Is it EB XR6?
No, it's
EF maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, flash.
Yeah. So I have a feeling it's going to be here for a while.
Or not there for a while.
Also, we've just started doing beginner nights at Archerfield, which have been going quite well. Yeah, it was good. We had like 11 dudes out there practicing or drifting for the very first time, which was cool. It was interesting because we had I think 2 or 3 of the guys were regular sim drifters, and one of them in particular, he had an MX-5, and he's quite a good sim drifter apparently, and he sort of drove out. Like I gave him, sort of told him what to do and things, and then the moment he drove off, he forgot everything that I'd told him, and then proceeded to just like not be very good, barely get the car sideways, lots of understeer, sort of treating the throttle like a button instead of a lever that it is. And he came back and he's like, it's a lot harder in real life. And I was like, well, it's not a video game. And he was like, yeah, well, on a sim, I kill it on a sim sort of thing. So that was actually quite interesting that, obviously there is people that come off sims and absolutely kill it pretty quickly in a car, but then some don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I find that I find that interesting. I, sort of came off the sim and I thought driving an actual car was easier because you actually felt the car move around you as opposed to trying to feel it through your hands on a steering wheel. But yeah, I wonder what sort of, probably been driving with huge horsepower on the simulator. So he's gone from huge horsepower where you can treat the throttle like a button to an MX-5 where you'd have to be wringing the shit out of its neck.
To be fair, it was pretty slippery. Like I jumped in it and you could, it was only a figure 8 that we had first up for the guys. So it was, and he had, pumped the tobacco tires up quite a bit. So, I jumped in and had a drive and sort of to show him what he needed to do. And the car it slid quite easily. But yeah, it was, I think that's a subject you guys might need to hit in the future, and sort of, the link between sim drifting and real drifting.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that side of it because there are a lot of guys sort of coming through that have done both, and
I can't.
Yeah, EG said he struggled to even try. Where, yeah, I don't know. I came from a sim drifting background, and yeah, my first time in the wet was hard, but my first time in the dry was fairly easy. So, yeah, not too bad. But yeah, it's interesting to hear that. And there's a guy over in FD now that, came from a sim background and does a lot of modding on his stuff and has a big setup of a simulator in his pits at FD. And is it Jack Widdus? Used to drive a 31 in ADGP for a GH Allage.
Yeah, Jack Widdus. Yeah, I know that name.
He
won.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he used to drive a lot of R Factor and stuff back in the day as well. I remember being on a server with him or one of those guys from down in SA. So there are a few guys who are around.
Leighton Fine used to drive LFS a lot.
Yeah, and so does Blake. And so, yeah, it's interesting though. But if you do have the wrong setup for a sim and it's not very simmy, then there's no transfer, especially if you're driving bloody Forza and things like that. There's not much of a comparison. I try and drive those games and it's bloody awful. And then you jump on something that's a little bit better feel and it's a lot closer. So
I got on Live for Speed and the physics were unreal. Like I think the physics were very, very good, but I never played it with a steering wheel. I eventually did it at a friend's house and it was pretty bloody good, to be honest. But I'd only played it with the keyboard before that. So while the physics were there, I wasn't spinning a steering wheel or using my feet. But I definitely think that you could learn to an extent from that sim.
Yeah, and even playing any sort of game that's close to a little bit more real, and you're just learning when your throttle inputs and that sort of thing that sort of teach you where it pushes the car and that sort of stuff is good. But again, you've got to have an understanding of the physics behind what you're doing to then translate it once you go and jump over into a car. So
yeah, that's a big thing. You definitely couldn't use Forza 7 physics or Forza physics in general and adapt that to actually driving, on the road or on the track or whatever, where Live for Speed, I felt like, especially when you're driving the lowered power car in that game, it would teach you a massive amount of clutch control, especially. It was, I think it did have a lot to teach people, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. The Forza games, not so good for some of that stuff. I tried getting it to set up. With the number of years that I was playing simulators, you spend a lot of time tweaking sort of sensitivities on things and how much feedback, how much power in the feedback, all that sort of stuff to try and get it to feel right. I spent a lot of time on my brother's computer trying to get Forza to feel right. And I've watched what people can do with it online, and I still can't work out how they manage to do it. And I think it comes down to one specific brand of steering wheel that works for, and I think other brands don't really work for that game, where games like Live for Speed sort of work for everything as long as you set it up right. So
has it been noted that EG's got his trophy collection in the background there?
Yeah, he had it up there last week.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
And then you went around showing us. No, you commented on it because I got my trophy collection, and then
yeah, I've got it behind me there as well. But they're just sort of sitting up there. They're not my old where they used to be is now being renovated, or not renovated, but everything's moved around.
That's okay.
So Andrew Dates commented. I didn't even know he was listening. He's a dude that he's a few years younger than me. We used to both from Sydney. He's was from out west, and the two of us used to jump on R Factor together. And he used to set up a dedicated server, and none of the European guys we used to drive with would want to drive Oran Park. And he'd set up a dedicated server, and we'd jump on Oran.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, Greg just dropped out. Yeah.
Has he?
Gone. Is he back again? Sorry.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. You there?
All right. Yeah, I'm here.
You're back. All right, cool. So you're just talking about Andrew Date, who's just left a comment on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So we're driven together on. Yeah, we're driven on R Factor a fair bit, and then I think we drove a South Circuit event. He'd done a whole bunch more real life drifting than I had by the time I came back home and had started doing that. But yeah, I think he started pretty young on the simulator too. He would have only been in his early teens. I was a little bit older, so and he does a bunch of
he's in Japan
drifting everywhere now. Yeah, he spends a lot of time living in Japan now. So, but yeah, met him on R Factor as a kid before actually drifting for real. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's funny how things sort of find their way around. Anything else, or should we put Luke to bed and put ourselves to bed? Or is this going to be another 3-hour extravaganza?
Oh, it's getting close to 3 hours. No, I've got no questions at the moment. Not really anything. I don't know. I can't even think of what people would want to know besides maybe I guess one thing that I was thinking of, but I don't even know if it's relevant, was if you have any drives actually coming up overseas. Like Luke has any drives.
Yeah. So I spoke to Ty, who watches and listens, is driving. He was at Bring the Bash. He was in a blue 13 with pink wheels. He is driving Drift Masters this weekend. I think it's his first comp ever. He's driving. It looks like he's driving a 2J 14 this weekend, and then he's heading over to Poland. I guess he's got friends or family or something over there, and he's managed to score a drive over in Poland. And he sort of yelled through for the 1 or 2 laps I actually got to do it. Bring the Bash, pulled up beside my car. He's like, "I watched the show." And then I got chatting to him a little bit, and he told me that he's going over to Europe to have a drive. So I've asked him once he's once he's back from there, if he'd come on and share some experiences and stuff like that, because he's not really a comp driver. This is his first comp this weekend with Drift Masters. But yeah, fan of the show or listener?
Ty Jeffries.
Yes. And yeah, so he's got that drive over there, and then I've asked him to come on after that. So if anybody's got anything cool like that going on, let us know, and we'd love to hear the experiences. And if anybody's able to score a drive over in Latvia, in Estonia, and drive that rallycross track, let us know. And
yeah,
sign
I
away
might
your
need to
life.
talk to some friends about that one.
I found a video of it, and I want to sit there and watch it, but it'll kill my internet.
The 7
So yeah, I would love to see.
7-hour feed of it.
Yeah, I want to
The
see.
actual event.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think someone shared it somewhere.
yeah. I just skipped through it to see the crashes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, I wanna
you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna
So,
see Stewie
yeah,
and-
you'd see like fresh skid marks to the wall, and then you just skip back until you see the ambulances and stuff, and then skip back a bit more until you see the.
I want
no,
to see Stewie and Fink drive that together.
That looked bloody unreal. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like as cool as jumping your drift car sounds, it completely destroys it. So it's yeah, like those guys were all running. It's Estonia. That's where Wisefab's from. So all of those guys would have been on Wisefab. And I know that I've bent Wisefab stuff from doing a lot less of jumps than that. So it'd be interesting to see how the cars held up mechanically after that, because they're doing some pretty freaking serious jumps. There's a couple where the cars are at least sort of 4 or 5 feet off the ground completely, if not more, and landing sideways. So I hope they got a whole lot of Chelsea Denofa's glue on the bead to be able to keep the tyres on the rims, let alone, keep the rest of the car together. So, and the jump was straight into walls. Like it was literally transition over a jump, land, and then get hard on the throttle. It looked like at least third gear through a tunnel essentially, and out the other side, which was all heavily surrounded by concrete walls.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. It is just concrete walls.
Yeah.
And if you sort of weren't sideways coming over the hill, you were probably going to T-bone the shit out of your car on a concrete wall.
Oh, hell yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, a bit scary.
Was it actually battles?
Yeah, it was a full competition, I'm pretty sure.
It was
Okay.
Yeah, there was battles. Yeah, it was
Wow.
interesting for sure.
That would be scary.
Yeah.
Imagine coming up on someone a bit hard over the jump and landing on them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They get the jump on you, and then you're on a
No,
hard
it's just
trying
like
to catch
if
up to
you're-
them. And,
So like if you're like pushing hard and they suddenly break and you go over the top of them, like that could actually happen.
Well, there was one guy, the car spins out, like does the jump and spins out. And the
Yeah.
other guy is sort of like, and it's the guy in the E30 wagon that was chasing. And he was the guy that was going the most batshit. Like he was doing the biggest jumps. And he was like, the other guy was already starting to spin out and the E30 was still in the air.
Yeah.
And then he's like landed and then hit old mate. Luckily without hitting any walls as well. But yeah, definitely, yeah, super interesting layout for sure.
It's exciting to watch, but
Really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many guys you could convince here to basically destroy their cars.
well, I'd probably buy a Falcon.
I'd probably buy a JZX90.
No, that's too expensive.
Get
yeah.
it. No, you get just like a GX90 and chuck an LS in it.
Oh, okay. No, it's a straight 6.
They do the, they
Intech.
do the best jump. They do the best jumps. The double wishbone in the JZX 90s and 100s.
Yeah, I really think the Falcon is really similar though.
Okay.
The BA and AU. If I ever get one to drift like an XR6 Turbo, I always wonder about trying to fit JZX gear into the front of it
Interesting.
because it looks so similar.
We get quite a few BAs coming down now for drifting.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that are actually really good as well. So
Yeah. So yeah, I really want to do XR6 Turbo manual, JZX front, and then see how that goes.
yeah, but JZX is by far the best car to jump that I've ever jumped on Minami, for instance.
Yeah, they're so.
I've jumped it in a Sylvia, and it pretty much is like, I don't know, imagine just jumping up in the air and landing on your ass is pretty much what the Ibisu jump feels like.
Yeah.
And then I've done it in my 32, which had probably less suspension than the S13, and it wasn't fast enough to clear the bump. So you'd actually land on the next bump and almost fucking flip the car off the next bump at Ibisu. So that was also interesting and not fun. And then my Laurel that's there now is about the same. It's about halfway between. But I've driven a JZX over it, and honestly, it was like so easy. It was literally like unbelievable how smooth you would land and how, I was getting all four wheels off the ground completely and landing, and it was just super smooth. So
yeah, and it's controlled too. That's what I noticed as well.
Yeah, like I wasn't phased in the slightest by the jump, where in the S and R chassis you were like waiting for the landing to see which way it was going to spit you and then getting back on the throttle.
So it's not that Daigo's good, he's just in the right car for that track.
Well, no, he's good. There's the JZXs, honestly, when they land, it doesn't really affect the car much. Like the car doesn't rebound and bounce off itself, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a stadium truck.
Stadium truck for drifting.
Yeah. That's what I've heard them likened to. They definitely handle a jump well.
Yeah, they do.
It's a weird subject to get onto from what we were talking about, but anyway.
That's all right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish this one up and put Luke to bed, because we'll go for hours and we'll just call him back on next week and keep talking about the same shit anyway. And yeah, so
I'll be heading out to Drift Masters this weekend to watch, so I will be able to update you on the happenings there.
Yeah, go and light a fire under some guys' asses over there. Logan should be up there, so go and give him some shit.
I got to kick him in the dick for not coming to
Tassie.
DCA 2 in Tassie.
He missed out on a good time. He would have
really
done well there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good little steerer.
Yeah.
And yeah, so maybe we'll get you on for that next week. So yeah, Drift Masters at QR this weekend. Entries still open for DCA first round Tassie series, and applications for what's that? Sorry,
24th is our event in Tasmania on the Sunday.
So not this weekend, the following weekend, and then applications for Cash Kings will be opening soon. So don't put your entries in for that other series. Applications for you can put your entries in there once you get refused entry because you're a douchebag.
No license is required.
That too. I don't know if it's required anymore. Anyway, well, no side intrusion bars required. No full roll cages. None of that fancy shit. Just pay your $500 and send it.
To an extent, yes.
And don't be a douche.
Yes. Correct.
So Luke's not allowed to drive.
God no.
All right. Well, let's
Okay.
wrap this one up, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
All right. Ciao.
Okay.
Thanks everybody
Thanks.
for watching.
And listening. Thank you.
And whoever's dying in the background on that one.
Yeah, that's a bit of Tiana dying as well.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. I'll hang on. Let me just stop this.
We're all sick around here.
Yeah, we're all sick up here.